And I think Brad looked at it. He's a smart guy and thought, all right, I don't want to go back to college coaching. I can make a lot of money. I'm not sure I'm enjoying all the NBA coaching. And the Celtics had to make a choice because they didn't want to lose his brain power in the building because he's super bright. So, I don't think the Celtics hate Danny Ainge. I just think we're going to lose Brad Stevens here. That's my theory on what happened. Tell me why Brad Stevens is moving upstairs.
Well, I don't think that Brad would be going anywhere as the head coach if this opportunity didn't present itself. He very recently signed a long-term contract to be the coach. So I would expect he would be there. I actually asked Brad this during the press conference this afternoon. Would he have been happy staying on the job? And for whatever it's worth, he said he would have. He said he loves the organization and would continue to do whatever it is that he wanted to do. But I don't think there's any question, Colin, that with this job opening, Brad Stevens was eager to jump into it. He's been a head coach of this team for 8 years now. And the last 3 have been very stressful. I mean, 2018-19 was a debacle. It was the Kyrie Irving year. It was Gordon Hayward trying to come back year. It was a messy situation that ended with this team getting knocked off in the second round of the playoffs. Last season was better, but the pandemic impacted it. They finished the season in the bubble, so that was stressful. This season, even more stress. COVID-19, the issues that affected the season, not the same type of chemistry with that locker room, and it ends in the first round of the playoffs. So I would say I don't think Brad was looking for a way out, but when this opportunity presented, I think he aggressively put his name forward as a candidate to fill that opening.
So the next Celtics coach, I heard stuff, people were saying Coach K, and I just don't buy it. I think Coach K is more consultant maybe than he would be coach. I mean, is there a front runner for this gig?
Well, I think that, I know over the next few days, they're going to interview internal candidates. They've got some strong ones on Brad's staff. Jay Larranaga has been interviewed for head coaching opportunities before. Scott Morrison is an excellent young coaching candidate. Jerome Allen has been a head coach in the college ranks, but then they're going to spread out and look across the basketball landscape. And I do believe that's where they're most likely to land. Now, one of the names I've heard is Ime Udoka, an assistant coach with the Brooklyn Nets. He has been a coach on the rise from his days in San Antonio, in Philadelphia, and now in Brooklyn, one of the top assistants on Steve Nash's staff with the Nets. That's someone I think will get strong consideration, but they will, I believe, cast a reasonably wide net early on in this process as Brad goes through something he's never gone through before. He's never been the man in charge of hiring a head coach. So I would expect this to be something of a drawn-out process in the coming weeks.
By the way, a couple of non-Celtic topics. Fan behavior in the NBA. Listen, we know the proximity fans to players in pro basketball is really close. And I said this yesterday. I've been watching this happen for 5 or 6 or 7 years, where these billionaire owners, to squeeze another nickel out of their arena, have moved the media upstairs. Let's get more people on the court, more people around the tunnel. And I think pandemic, masks, everybody's pent up. There's a lot of anxiety. And it's just kind of, we're seeing this with airlines. Bad behavior. We're seeing it. But some of this to me is, could you give the players a break when they walk to the tunnel? Could they have, if you can high five an athlete walk into a tunnel, that's, to me, I just don't think that's appropriate. There's another way to make money. How much of this is on owners, the league? Who's responsible for this? I mean, why is it so bad in the NBA?
Look, I think it's a good point that, players or fans are on top of players in ways they aren't in other sports. I mean, I can tell you firsthand the number of media seats I've lost that have been close to the floor because owners have wanted to put paying customers in that area and make money off them. This run of incidents involving fans has definitely given the NBA cause for reconsideration about some things. Now, right now, what they've settled on is enhanced security at games, more visible presences when it comes to security guards at games. If that doesn't work, the league might have to take extra steps. Maybe barriers might wind up having to be involved. Seats may have to be moved But
it's very easy to say, oh, this Boston thing was a failure. Be careful. There's a difference between failure and high standards. The Philadelphia Sam Hinkie experiment was a failure. The process, where they decided as the league was pivoting to a shooters league for 5 straight years, we're just going to draft the tallest guy out of college. That's not even understanding the temperature of the room. That was a massive whiff. Danny Ainge was not a massive whiff. 4 years, 3 conference championships, and they got bad breaks. Gordon Hayward literally broke his ankle in his first 10 minutes as a Celtic. Kyrie Irving just rejected the franchise in the city. Jaylen Brown this year, good player, got hurt. Not the same team. This was not a whiff. Danny Ainge made 2 of the best trades in the last 10 years in the league. He got rid of KG, who was old and expensive and got great draft picks. He also traded down and yet got the best player in a draft named Jason Tatum. And Danny Ainge did a lot right. Boston is a uniquely challenging situation. A lot of NBA guys don't want to play there, despite its great basketball winning history. Kawhi Leonard, free agent, no interest in Boston. Anthony Davis's dad, I would never want my son to play for the Celtics. Rich Paul, who runs Clutch Sports, told the Celtics, you can go ahead and trade for AD, he'll walk. That's not what the Lakers face. That's not what, like, historically the Bulls or the Mavericks had faced or the Philadelphia 76ers. There's players that don't want to play in Boston. A city that African Americans often feel is racially uncomfortable or insensitive. So that's a thing you face in Boston. So this morning, this could be painted as, oh, what a failure. Not really. I don't. When they had to rebuild after their championship, after Danny Ainge landed Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, we thought it was going to be a long rebuild. They missed the playoffs one time. Philadelphia couldn't get into the playoffs. Philadelphia, the process, was a complete whiff defended by some analytic nerds who just like to be popular on social media. That was a whiff. They didn't even know what the league was becoming. Boston was not a whiff. Danny Ainge will still get jobs. He's better than 70% of the guys doing this in the NBA. But the organization has incredibly high standards, and they've got this young, dynamic, super smart head coach. He's getting worn out. They want to keep his brain in the organization. He's not 62. He's closer to 42, and that's the decision being made. You see this all the time. You know, ever seen, there's some college basketball programs and college football programs that they'll still go to bowl games and they'll keep their coach forever. And then you get those programs like in Ohio State, and they gave Luke Fickell 1 year. And he didn't win in 1 year, and they fired him and went and got, and Luke Fickell can coach, and went and got Urban Meyer. That's called high standards. Like Boston's got high standards. But it is a uniquely challenging job, and I think it came down to this. All these college programs were going after Brad Stevens. Hard. You write the check. And Boston went to Brad Stevens, and he said, I'll be honest with you, I'd like to move into the front office. I can do that longer than coach. I'm burnt out from coaching. And now Brad Stevens will run the organization, not Danny Ainge. I think it actually, I don't know if it's the right move. It's an intriguing move, but I reject that Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens were a failure. If you get to 3 conference championships in 4 years, and that's dealing with a series of bad breaks. I mean, Gordon Hayward's first minute as a Celtic shatters his ankle. Jaylen Brown hurt. Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, can be erratic, just rejected the city. I mean, you know, I think it worked. It just didn't get championships, and that's what Boston pursues. They're the Yankees. They're the Lakers. They're Ohio State football. They're, you know, Kentucky or Kansas basketball. They're not going to sit around and rest on, we made the playoffs. That's not good enough. Let's go and get Chris Mannix, a great NBA reporter, does boxing too, but his basketball knowledge, his expertise, and his connections to the Celtics are profound. He will join us next. Wolf in Shepherd is the dress shoe. I'm wearing them today. Worn by athletes and talk show hosts in America. Their founders, a former